If you're going to run an agency, we're going to talk about P&C. This can technically work for health and life and all the other industries, but if you're going to run an agency, some of the struggles that you're going to run into is trying to level off the business and where it goes. Let me give you an example. When we first start an agency, if you're brand new, you're like, I got to get all these carrier appointments. I have to work with Progressive and Geico and Safeco and Nationwide and all of these companies. If I don't get Allstate, I'm going to die. It's not going to work. So we go out and we get all these appointments. Let's just pretend that for some reason you could get all those appointments and you got all of these carriers, let's just say 10. Some companies do 100, some companies do 20. It depends on what network or type of business you're trying to run. You can kind of go with some of the franchises, which we talked about in our previous video, that has like all these carriers, and then you're kind of overwhelmed. When you're new, if you just go scratch and you get all your own appointments and you're working with these carriers, one thing that I've noticed even today is when I have two main carriers. So my favorite two, or my biggest two, Company A and Company B. I won't oust them because I don't want them to be mad at me for any which reason. And that's the reason, because you have to have a relationship with different carriers. And that's why having more than 10 can be a struggle. We picked up a main carrier that is more high risk type stuff, but we're finding they're not even competitive with the customers that we're trying to put them with. We've done 10, 15 quotes, not a ton, but enough to know that not once have they been competitive, even when they don't want all these extra coverages. So that's one thing that you have to think about. The other piece is when you have multiple carriers, let's say Company A was really good, but all of their prices went up, and Company B is also really good, but maybe they didn't let you write business with them. So what happened was we wrote all of our business with Company A, all of the prices changed, 30, 40% increase, all of the things happened, and now Company B opens the doors back up, and you instantly think, let's just put all the customers with Company B. And yes, the carriers understand that, but when you're working with the territory rep, that's someone that comes and visits your agency and tries to build a relationship, their goal is to get you to write profitable business, but also they're there to be a little bit of a strict hand to say you can't do that, or you can do this with us. In that case, if you're going to build that relationship with them, you usually set goals for the carrier. For example, Company A, we may have said we're going to write 300,000 or $500,000 this year with your company. If we don't have a good retention, now we can lose some extra bonuses, things like that. So if we have a lot of claims, there's issues there. If we have low retention where we keep shifting the customers out of their book, then that's less that we could earn potentially down the road. That's one of the issues that you're going to run into is if you switch all of the customers that are really competitive with Company B, then you're going to, one, sometimes benefit the customer because they're different products. So they have to be different fits for each person. But if we're just talking price and we shift them from Company A to Company B and then over to Company C and then back and forth, your retention in your agency might be strong. You might be able to show that and prove that, and maybe that'll actually make the carriers want to work with you, but you're slowly going to lose that relationship. It's like showing up late for a party. If you're always late to the party, people just have the party without you. And that's kind of the same thing that they're going to do here is if you constantly are bouncing your customers around from one person to the next, two things are happening. One, you're actually hurting the customer a little bit because yes, they might save a couple dollars here, but there's that longevity. If you can keep a customer with a good policy for 3 to 5 years and then you switch them, there's actually a better discount that people don't realize is there. But also two, you're breaking some of that relationship with the carrier that you're supposed to have, which isn't the end of the world. It's customer focused. We really want to make sure we take care of the customers, but we also have to think mindful of if we don't have that carrier again later on when everything switches and Company B starts raising the rates, which I've actually seen to start happening, then Company A might not allow you to write business with them again. It's a little bit of a conundrum where you have to write certain business with certain places, certain companies. Now, what I actually ran into recently is my own policy I decided to shop, mainly because one of the partners that I work with, he has gotten his bill and he's like, yeah, it's a little bit high. Let's take a look at it. And I looked at it and the guy was paying over 10 grand a year, which isn't the end of the world. That's actually, he's got a nice house, got some nice cars, added a pool. There's a lot of like all these little like risks that are there. But when I reshopped it, I cut the bill in half. And it's almost impossible to not be like, all right, we're shifting you. We're moving you over here. Let's get you that $5,000 savings. Let's get you that deal that helps you the most. And then I'm like, well, hey, I'm with Company A. So now that I can write Company B, let me recheck it. And mine's $1,000 to $1,200 less. So I'll probably be switching myself because when you get into those larger impacts, The coverages are very similar. If you're going to have that same with those two really good carriers, you've got to play that fine line of which customers are better fits for which ones. Now, if it's someone that's mostly focused on the best package, the best things, then company A might be the better fit, even though they're more expensive. But then we kind of give people options of what to do down the road. The same goes for marketing. So if you're marketing to a client, if you only market price, you're going to get a lot of people interested. And that's why you see State Farm and Allstate and Geico and all of these guys say, save money, save money, save money in all of their commercials, all of their ads, because attention is around the finances. Most people don't understand that the coverage is there to protect you and your wealth and your income and all of those things you've built. So when you're focused on the higher tier client, or what we call a preferred client, typically a homeowner, has 2 cars, usually married. If they have kids, they're not driving, or they're not 16 or 18 or 19, because that's really kind of throws you out of the mix. But in general, they've got essentially a nice stable income, and those are the people that pay in full. They pay the whole bill. They never ask questions. If the price goes up, it's not that big of a concern, because they're more interested in having you as their agent than they are saving an extra $100. Now, don't get me wrong. There's millionaires like family members of mine, and I get it. They didn't get to $1 million by not being frugal. So that also makes sense. You kind of have to play this happy medium to where if the customer is more acknowledging of the right agent, of the right coverage, of the right company, and they want that brand, just like you buy Nikes over you buy Schnikes, right? And so all of those things add up, then yes, company A, regardless of what the premium has changed to, may still be the best option for that client. Now, that's also why we carry multiple carriers, because if we have so many customers that are company A style and they're willing to stay with that, you're going to find that they're very few and far between, a little bit harder to get a hold of. The preferred client is not just hanging around shopping prices all day long. That's the non-preferred client, or the standard client, which is, I would say, 70% of the market out there is a standard client. And that standard client is mindful of both. They want good coverage. They want to make sure they're covered properly, but they also are very, very interested in making sure that they're also getting the best deal. That's why you should have multiple carriers where you have company A and B at the top. You've got company C, D, E, and F in the middle. And then you've got company G at the bottom, maybe a secondary. Having 6 to 8 carriers is not a problem. It's when you go beyond that to where it starts to get a little bit cumbersome, not only for shopping, but also for your knowledge, because you have to remember the rules of company A, B, C, D, E, and F, and G. And then you get F'd up and G'd. Freaking goated. FG, I don't know. That's my acronym. You can ask AI if they want something better. Now, to keep on top of that, that's where some of the technology starts to play a factor, to where you have either AI bots or AI assistants. I've actually had a recent moment here, which we'll make another video about, is just kind of the day-to-day process. And I'll make a video that goes over a little bit more just what a busy day looks like for an insurance agent and how to process that and how to handle that. That's one of the reasons our agency looks like we have 30 people working here, and we're able to handle it because we have the technology put in place that handles a lot of that for us. But that doesn't stop the fact that right now you're the one doing the shopping, you're the one doing some of the work, and you've got to be mindful of the carriers that you work with, not only just the relationships, which are very important, but also the type of clients and if they're the right fits for the right companies. Let me know what your thoughts are. Do you typically just shop and try to get the best deal for someone, or are you always trying to find the best fit? Personally, I'm kind of a mix between both. I usually focus on fit first and then price second. So that's usually making sure that you have the right carrier, the right claim service, the right everything that you're looking for as a client, and then moving in to see who's got the best deal that matches that specific need. I'm Mark W. Flockhart. I'll see you soon.